You didn't have to stick me out like that.
She
No one knew.
Gestures.
No, I didn't make. I made no gestures, Kevin Hart. But you know you're a height challenge. Let me welcome to the show someone who is not. He's like 6'6" or something like that. I'm gonna try to say your full name: Boris Frederick Cecil Tay Nate Afuate Kodjoe.
It's close. It's not bad.
Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, where did I mess up? At the Tay? The Nate?
Yeah, Tenate Ofuete Kodjoe.
Tenate
Ofuete Kodjoe.
What does that all mean?
Well, my dad's from Ghana. My mom's German. And some of those names have to do with my Ghanaian ancestry.
Right. So the
Tenate is firstborn son.
Okay. And Afuete.
That's Ofuete Kodjoe is a hyphenated name.
So it's grandmother.
That's actually the last name. Ofuete Kodjoe.
Okay. Does that mean anything?
Frederick is my uncle, and Cecil was my grandfather.
Okay. And Boris is just a great.
You know, Boris came about because my parents fell in love around the time Dr. Zhivago came out, the David Lean movie, the classic Dr. Zhivago. And the movie was based on a novel written by Boris Pasternak. So that's where Boris came from.
Now, you went to school on a tennis scholarship, college,
yes.
But also very learned, like, languages and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have the acting bug, or when you hurt yourself and you couldn't play tennis anymore and didn't want to be a school teacher, someone said you're handsome.
Nothing against school teachers. I think school teachers they get a bad rep here in the States because schools are underfunded, right? So At home, school teachers make as much as doctors. You know what I mean? I think that we don't place enough importance on that trade as well as education as a whole. And that's one of the issues that this country has. But what were we talking about?
No. We're gonna get back to that. Yeah. So back at home, Germany.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was an athlete, and then got injured. Took a scholarship here. Came to school. Got a degree in business, and then I went to acting class because I wanted to see if I could lose my accent.
So you came here with an accent. What did that sound like? So you came here.
I only spoke German and French and Spanish. I didn't speak English until I came here. So.
Wait, Tom, pause. You got a tennis scholarship, not speaking a bit of English, to go to a school in Virginia?
You can still play tennis without speaking
No,
English.
I know, but to come to school in the United States of America, because you're not just playing tennis, you're coming to school to matriculate and not speak a bit of English.
Well, it's funny. The SATs was hilarious because I couldn't, I didn't understand half the things that, and the English part was hard for me. I guessed a lot. Thank God it was multiple choice. The math part, I think I got almost 800 out of 800. So I got a good score. When I came over here, I realized that the first 2 years of college, all the science stuff that we did, whether it was chemistry or biology, physics or math, we did all that in 9th grade at home. So it was easy for me. It was really easy. So I had time to really adjust to the social environment, the cultural environment, and get over the culture shock and learn the learn the language.
Okay? It's not me.
No. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. And so when I was living in New York, I went to acting class because I wanted to see if I could get rid of my accent because I had a really strong German accent.
What did it sound? Because German is such a guttural language. It's so harsh.
Well, it depends where you're from. See, most people equate German as the German. Exactly. That's the North. I'm from the South. I'm from the Black Forest, which is at the Swiss and the French border. If you were to draw a parallel to here, it would be Louisiana. It was like this. It would be the swamps. Like we speak completely different than.
Is that near the Rhineland area?
Well, the Rhine is a river that goes north to south. So it passes a whole lot of areas. But the Black Forest is literally in the corner of France, Germany, and Switzerland, like right in the southwest.
So what does that accent sound like? What does that German sound like?
Okay, let's take a simple sentence like ich bin müde und gehe ins Bett, which means I'm tired and I'm going to sleep. I'm going to bed. In my dialect, it would be ich bin müde und gehe ins Bett, which is almost like a Swiss German. Like it sounds very different. So when my grandmother would speak in her dialect, people from the north wouldn't understand what she was saying. No.
Okay. You know, it's interesting. I know you're here to talk about Station 19, which I am Thursday evening. I started with Shonda Rhimes from Grey's Anatomy. So I've been with her from the beginning.
There you go.
I remember when Miranda's husband became a firefighter in that whole fight on Grey's Anatomy, and then I knew, I said, "Ooh, I smell a spinoff," and there we have it, right? So Station 19, you weren't on the first season because I don't remember seeing you.
I was a surgeon.
Okay.
At that time, I was a surgeon on Code Black.
Right.
I was saving lives on Code Black.
So then you went from that to becoming a firefighter. So how did you end up?
Man of many talents.
Yes, no, you are. Right? Yes.
So I went from a surgeon to the captain of Station 19.
This has been a good transition because those ABC shows are doing really well.
Yes, they are. I mean, I always wanted to be a part of the Shondaland experience. You know, be part of the family. And now her and Stacey McKee, they've done an amazing job with all their shows with Station 19. Is a great family environment. A lot of great people. And
you play Andy Herrera.
No.
That's the late. Is that the lady? No, you're Captain Robin Sullivan.
I am. Yes, Robert Sullivan.
Robert Sullivan.
Yeah, Captain Robert Sullivan. Andy is the female lead, played by the amazing Jana Lee Ortiz, who's from New York, representing. And she and Sullivan are getting a little closer now. As we are winding down this season. Yeah, they had a traumatic experience in an 8 car. They rolled down an embankment and
I saw the commercials for it because truthfully, I'm just gonna be honest. I have like my watching list is crazy, so I decided to not keep going. So I want you to convince me to come back in.
I'm convincing you right now.
Okay, so I saw you guys ended up in an embankment. She crawled out. You were trapped in a car.
Exactly.
She crawled out but she passed out, and so I was like, I don't know if she's gonna make it, but I don't know if I could keep watching.
See, well, that experience got us closer. So now there's a relationship that's developing between the two. It's heating up a little bit.
People need you to be in a heated up relationship.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, I don't know why. I think there's something about you,
We'll make
Boris
a note of that. Make a note of that.
All right. Station 19, Boris Kodjoe plays Captain Robert Sullivan.
That's right.
I want to put a pin on that for a second because I'm so fascinated by you. All right.
Wow.
I've been reading. I was reading about the Rhineland section of Germany because before the final solution, there were a lot of African mixed. I don't even know what a mixed kid is. You're a human being. Some black soldiers from World War I had relations with German women.
That's right.
They had a
lot of them.
host of children, but the final solution was experimented there first. So people don't know that the Holocaust actually started there. And there was a guy
there, as in
the Rhineland section with blacks and
well, there were a lot of
people
marginalized groups that were being victimized by the Nazi regime, whether it was for scientific research or any other cruel medical research. And then obviously there were the Jews were sequestered in certain ghettos before then everybody was shipped out
concentration camps.
Yeah.
Right. What is the lesson taught in the schools when you were growing up about that period of time?
Our history around the Weimar Republic leading to World War II and the Holocaust is covered in a very comprehensive way. Because I think what's really important is to remember that this wasn't that long ago. This was literally one generation ago. And that it is our responsibility as not just German citizens, but citizens of the world, parents, communities as a whole, to teach our children about how this came about and how to ensure that something like this can never happen again. So any type of discrimination, racism, marginalizing people is completely reprehensible. It should be fought by us collectively and individually. Whenever you see as an individual, whenever you see something like this go down or develop, I think it's our duty, responsibility to speak up and speak out stand up.
But
protest.
it's taught in schools in Germany, and
Absolutely.
it's taught, you said, in a comprehensive way in Germany. In addition to you knowing math and science and all of the things and being so far ahead of America, which is number 18 or 19 among industrialized nations in education. So we aren't that exceptional. To come to a country where it's not taught comprehensively, where the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction not taught comprehensively throughout the country. What's the fallout, do you think?
The fallout here is that people grow up with a lack of self-knowledge, a lack of perspective, and with PTSD syndrome, where a lot of African Americans suffer from having a feeling of being uprooted and not knowing why. They say they're from South Carolina or Texas. Meanwhile, their ancestry goes far beyond that to the continent. But since they have no connection, and since they've learned close to nothing about their past and their ancestry, they're left sort of in between worlds. And that's caused a lot of upheaval in our communities, collectively and individually. And I think it's important to know where you're from in order to know where you're going.
Absolutely.
And this sort of lack of knowledge has caused, Black people to suffer from inferiority complexes, insecurities that are sometimes left unexplained, especially to kids. And I think that's why it's so important that we go back to the continent, visit the continent, go home to the continent to reconnect with our ancestry and our emotional heritage, and understand that we have such a vibrant, rich, amazing history and culture that we came from. We are descendants of survivors. We're descendants of enslaved Africans. If we we're born here in the States, we're not descendants of slaves. We're descendants of enslaved Africans. There's a big difference in terms of how you perceive yourself. You
don't have that history. Your dad is Ghanaian, right? Straight from the continent. Yeah. Your mom German, right? So why do you have the connection? Why do you have the you're raising Black children. Your wife is, you're part of our culture and our community. You are in many ways, very much grafted in.
Absolutely.
You came here not speaking English, but somehow figured that out.
Well, you adapt to your environment. I came to the States to study, and I wanted to be able to communicate. And there was enough motivation for me to learn. To learn how to speak the language. Especially once I decided I was going to be an actor. I really wanted to be not just fluent, but I wanted to be able to portray characters without any limitations.
But I'm saying not just learning the language, but what you're able to talk about culturally. Yeah, it's like people have lived here their whole lives for generations and can't do what you just did,
that's the
Boris.
problem, because the problem is that we've been taught a narrative that has been exclusively negative about the continent. It's all about war, it's about famine, it's about mass exodus to Europe. We haven't been taught the rich history and the cultural background, and that's a lack that is detrimental to our development as people. Black people here suffer from the post-traumatic slave syndrome, where there's this deep-rooted sense of there's a void that we cannot explain, that we grew up with. My father-in-law is from Baltimore, an amazing guy, Dr. Parker. He's a dentist. And when he speaks to me about deep issues, he still looks over his shoulder to see who's listening. And it's a deeply ingrained paradigm that has plagued us forever. And I think once we understand that we come from kings and queens, and we come from the richest culture on the planet, we come from the birth of humanity. And that's the place where we came from, right? We come from a continent that featured the richest palaces and cultures and communities, the birthplace of technology, of the most innovative things that take place on this planet. Once we understand that, we can not just change the narrative about Africa, but we can change the narrative of how we see ourselves. And that's when the healing starts, and that's when we're able to not just overcome, but that's when we're able to thrive and to empower others and to be to really maximize our potential as people collectively and individually, and that's when we start creating assets. That's when we start owning our own IP, and that's when we stop giving away our power.
Well, just that. Sit for a second. Dr. Parker's daughter, Nicole Ari Parker. Look at you. You're smiling. What makes
Nikki Parker.
Nikki Parker.
Nikki Kodjoe.
Nikki Kodjoe. What makes you love her so much?
Oof, that's a whole other show. She's a beautiful human being. She's kind. She's aware. She's intelligent. She's smart. She's loving, kind. I say kind. Yeah, she's compassionate. She loves what she does. She's an amazing mother. There's so many things that drew me to her as a person first, because we were friends first when we started working together.
And soul food.
Yeah. She's fine. She's funny. She's hilarious. She's really funny. So we just love spending time together. You know, and it's funny because we're going on to our 14th year of marriage, and people ask me how we make it work, and it's like anything you want to be successful in. You have to put in the work every single day. Every single day, you have to water the plant. You have to show your partner that love is an action word, right? It's not something that you just say. You have to show it. You have to find out what the other person likes and loves. You have to cater to that. You have to learn each other's dance steps. You cannot be scared to encounter challenges and obstacles together. You have to walk through the fire with each other. You have to give each other space to make mistakes. All those things she does for me and I do for her. And most importantly, I want to be with her. I don't need to be with her. She doesn't need to be with me. But we choose to be with each other. We want to be with each other. And that's a very strong motivation to form a bond like that.
Well, you can see her on Empire on Wednesdays, and
that's right.
And, y'all are working family. Mm-hmm. You're on Station 19, which is on, of course, ABC. It's a Shondaland production starring you and some other great people.
A lot of great
people. All right, we have to wrap up in a second, but I just, before I let you go, your workout regimen, because I think you look amazing.
Thank you.
And you're doing something. It can't
just be
jeans.
It's a lifestyle.
Can't just be jeans.
No, I don't believe in diets. I don't believe in workout, challenges. It has to be a part of your lifestyle. I mean, I want to live happily and healthily and strong, and to be there for my kids. So I employ some of those principles to my life every day, whether it's nutrition or working out or meditation. You know, mindfulness is very important. So we're running through life. We never stop. And sometimes it's to the detriment of our soul and our spirit. And so I get up in the morning. I don't touch my phone for an hour. And I meditate. I say my prayers. I stretch. I work out. And I get my day started. And I try to put stuff in my mouth that empowers me and doesn't cause cancer.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That was my penultimate question. Actually, I forgot you were in House of Cards last season, which was tough. That last season was tough. You played a politician who was, you
Congressman Cole,
little shady. We got like 20 people running for president right now for the United States. Do you think we'll ever see a person like you in office again?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to see a woman in the office. Hopefully next year. I think men had plenty of opportunity to make their mark on the planet in a positive way, and we've continuously struck out on numerous levels, from genocides to exploitation of not just cultures but the environment. We've taken the planet to the brink of extinction. And I think it's time that we step back and let women do what they do so well. I mean, any subcultures, any cultures on the planet that are run and led by women are thriving and doing extremely well. Whether it's from the economic sector or social or cultural. So I'm the first one to say, hey, we need to step. We need to shut up and sit down, and we need women lead us into a different direction.
On that note, I don't think there's anything else that should be said. Boris Kodjoe, appreciate you. Station 19, y'all. Tune in to everything he's doing. Just support him, support his family. Beautiful human being. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Kay.
All right. It's the Karen Hunter Show. We'll be right back.
Rebuilding.
How's your dog?